Welcome to On the Hill Podcast.
All right, so we're back.
We're live on the hill.
Back on the hill, man. And tonight, man, we got a very special guest.
Special guest, a little taller than you.
Better looking, taller, more muscular. Yeah.
A little more hair, you know.
A little more hair, yeah. But actually, the sheriff from Hopewell. So we're honored to have him on here, Travis Stanley. So thank you so much for coming, Sheriff.
No, thank you for inviting me. This is nice.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
So, Sheriff, if first of all, you know, when we talked about you coming on the podcast, you were like, hey, man, I really don't know if I have a story to tell. But in the Hill is all about stories, people's stories. We've had local business owners on. We've had Dr. Greenberg all talking about, you know, specific things. But a lot of that time on here was him talking about his life growing up and stuff. So that's kind of where we're starting. But you do have a success story. So where were you born? Where were you raised?
I was born in Hopewell. It was called John Randolph Hospital back then. I think it's Tri-Cities now, but
Yeah.
I don't know what John Randolph did, but woke got him, I guess. But
Something got him, yeah.
something got him. But yeah, I was born in John Randolph Hospital back in the 70s, and you know, now I'm an endangered species. You know, they don't have births there anymore. So
Oh, really? They don't?
Yeah, they don't.
don't
Nobody
do
can be born in Hopewell anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
So you were born in Hopewell. So kind of as a segue, let's think about it. So I was born in Petersburg, but I grew up in like Chester and Prince George. But you actually grew up in Hopewell, right?
Grew up in Hopewell. Yeah, went to school, graduated.
Born
high
and
school,
raised.
Yeah,
So what was the elementary school you went to? Do you remember?
Patrick Copeland.
Patrick Copeland. That's still there, right?
It's a different building, but same name. So
How about middle school?
Carter G. Woodson.
Carter G. That's still there.
That's still there.
That's still there.
And then of course Hopewell High
Hopewell
School.
High School. Yeah,
Is that the only high school there?
yeah, yeah.
One high school. So all right, man. So I mean, we're gonna jump. Well, everybody knows you're the sheriff now, but it's kind of wild. I think to me, there's nothing better, and that's why I'm so. I mean, first of all, we know each other from working a little bit together, P-Town, Petersburg.
Yep.
But you know, I think when we were talking about, you know, you coming on, and I was like, man, there is no better story than that. Local young man ends up becoming the sheriff.
Yeah. Sounds like a childhood dream.
Yeah, I mean, it really was. It started back. You mentioned Carter G. I mean, it started back in Carter G. When this thought of running for sheriff one day popped into my little pea-sized brain head.
Really?
Yeah,
That far back?
Yeah. I was daydreaming like I normally did back in those days, and you know,
Yeah.
And my grades kind of led me into law enforcement. I wasn't smart enough to get into anything else. But yeah, no, I knew back then that was a dream that I wanted to try to chase after, and you know.
Wow, I didn't know it was that long, a lifelong dream for you like that.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I know. That is awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah, so I mean, most kids that age don't know what they want to do, but I mean, your career. So you graduated high school, and I know I don't know the time frame, but when did you apply and get hired at Petersburg? Was that your first law enforcement job?
That was my first law enforcement job. I was back in 2004 when I started there.
Goodness gracious,
Yeah.
And that was in Petersburg?
Petersburg, yeah.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
the proving grounds. Yeah, I was up at the academy. I'm taking a class under Greenberg. He asked me to come take a class that he teaches, but there was a firefighter in there from Prince George, and you know, we all introduced ourselves. And he's like, so how long did you work? He's a young kid, man. So he's like, how long did you work in Petersburg? I was like, 21 years. He's like, most people don't make it that long in Petersburg. But anyway, you know, I said most people don't. But my personnel file was so long, didn't really have a chance to go anywhere else.
Right.
That's the truth, though. But anyway, the point was, I mean, a lot of great people start there. So you started, I can't remember, so you started in 04. How long were you in there, though?
Not 21 years, I can tell you that. Maybe 4.5.
And then you went over to the sheriff?
Not initially. I left. I threw in the towel at that point. I said, you know what, this ain't for me. Law enforcement, you know, I was burnt out. I was more sick of the white shirts back then than I was anything else.
Yeah.
But, you know, it really, you know, at that time I was like, man, I just don't know if I can do this as a career. You know,
Right.
I mean, it's very, very, you know, stressful. The job takes over so much of your life that, you know, you really don't have a home life. You're working holidays, you're working midnight shift,
True. Yeah.
weekends. So it's really tough. So anybody that can do that for 21 years or longer. I mean, I take my hat off to you guys. So, but no, I left initially in 2008. To go to a civilian job. Actually, when I left Petersburg, I didn't even have a job lined up. I just say, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm leaving, and I'll worry about that later. But if you remember, in 2008, we're looking smack into a recession, and the stock market crashing and everything else. And I said, well, this ain't looking good. So I fortunate enough to know a guy that worked for a U-Haul, and he got me a job working for a U-Haul center up on West Broad by Staples Mill as an assistant manager. And, I kind of did that for a year and then got a phone call from the then sheriff, Greg Anderson, who said, hey, you want to come write some tickets for me on 295?
There you go.
I said, absolutely, I will.
That's
I
awesome.
said you did that too for a little while.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And that's, so in 2004, well, first of all, I mean, I think you're right about law enforcement. And the only bad thing about starting in Petersburg is, first of all, I mean, you hit the nail on the head with the white shirts. Just depending on when you were there and who you were within the agency. And I'm not trying to badmouth the agency, but and I know you're not either. But essentially, so much of your success, anybody's success in any job, particularly law enforcement, depends on the supervisors. Mm-hmm. It just depends on who you were in relation to who was in command. So I think that you probably made a good decision. Yeah, I don't know how I stuck it out there so long. I just didn't have any other options. But
because you're hard-headed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty. I am loyal like that, but I think I stayed. I mean, honestly, for the SWAT team, the CRT team. I mean, we're not here talking about me, but I think that kept me there for at least 12 years. And then at that point, I was at a point of no return. To reach that retirement.
Right.
But anyhow, so all right, so you get a call from and I was thinking it was the. So it was actually Anderson who called you. You started working.
He had another deputy call me on his behalf.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's cool though. So then you were part of the 295, the $1 Million Mile.
I was one of the first. I wasn't the first out there. There was a couple deputies that were out there. I think the program started actually right around 2008.
Wow.
And I didn't get there until 2009. But so that's how I arrived at Hopewell Sheriff's Office, which, I jumped to the chance to, to come home and work for a department inside my hometown. And, being close is, it's a benefit. You don't have to, it's hard to be late to work when you live in the city,
That's cool though. Well, the other part is you have a vested interest in the community.
That's right. Yeah.
That's the big part. But yeah, being right there. So Anderson, he retired, and then who was the next year? That was
Luther Sodat.
Yeah, I was gonna say Sodat. I didn't want to say the wrong one, man, because that'd have been sad for me. But that's who hired me.
Okay, I was wondering, is that who you were under? Mm-hmm. Now the 295 stretch, that I remember you just telling me before, that was all self-sustained as far as the cars and the equipment and all that kind of stuff.
Well, by self-sustained, what do you mean?
As far as, I guess, when tickets get processed and the money goes towards vehicles and things like that?
Yes and no. So what happens with the revenue that's generated off of 295? It goes all to the city. Mm-hmm. They put it in the capital improvements fund is where it goes, and that's really what Hopewell uses to spend. It's walking around money, so to speak. Any kind of special project they want to. Like a big H, on the Appomattox Bridge, they'll pay for that money and pave roads and that sort of thing. But, it helped keep property taxes low as well. So the sheriff at the time and the judge at the time that were, instrumental in bringing this program to the sheriff's office, realized that and saw the benefit. And, obviously that's what brought me there. But as far as the cars and all that and the money that's used, the city gives us a budget every year. But a portion of our budget, goes, it's broken up into lines, but it goes, towards vehicles. It goes towards equipment. If you fast forward several years, when we started the e-ticket program, the city passed an amendment to the traffic fine, which added $5 per, every fine had a surcharge of $5. that went into a pot that was supposed to pay for the equipment.
Okay.
Now, I don't know how much of that pot, so to speak, we get, but we get a big chunk of money just from, from that. But it's a flat rate every year.
Right.
So, and speaking of cars, we're actually in a kind of a situation right now where we've ordered, 8 Dodge Durangos that I've been waiting on for over a year.
Wow.
We're still dealing with, chip shortages and that sort of thing. It's luckily they're sitting up at East Coast upfitting right now. I don't know if you're familiar, but waiting to get upfitted. But we're kind of in behind Chesapeake Police Department, and I think they've got like 80 cars.
Wow.
So yeah, they're ahead of us. So our 8 are.
I was gonna say they can't bump you ahead and just.
You would think, but no. They said I don't even know who that sheriff is in Hopewell. We'll just put him in the back. So.
Dang.
But yeah, so we're still waiting. But yeah, we should be getting those cars. And they're actually going to be leased through Enterprise. Enterprise rental car company has a leasing program for law enforcement and that sort of thing.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. I used to work at Enterprise.
Yeah, Enterprise.
Yeah, I think it's a fairly new program from my understanding. I didn't know anything about it until I took office last year.
Yeah.
Well, good for them.
Hey, real quick. So speaking to the mic one more time, Sheriff, I want to double check something.
Check.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's working. I mean, we had a little technical stuff here.
No.
All right. I moved it a little bit closer to me.
But don't worry. I'm the novice. I'm looking at something. I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking at, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I'll double check.
That's cool. All right. So you're self-sustaining. So I guess in a sense it is. I mean, I remember, and he's passed now, and I remember going from. So I left Petersburg. I think it was 2013 or something like. I'm terrible with years, but anyhow, Sheriff Sadat hired me, and I was actually still working for Sheriff Crawford. So I spent my last 2 years working for Sheriff Crawford. And
that's right. You went to Petersburg Sheriff's Office when
I
you left
sued
Petersburg
the city
PD.
and all that. Yeah.
Yes.
So when I sued the city of Petersburg and the ex-chief Dixon or whatever, I did go to Sheriff Crawford. But and just as a side note, I mean, I told her the things that were going on there, and I mean, it's all in the news. They had like a $12 million shortfall, if you remember all that, and some of the background to it. And she thought I was, making the story up or I was crazy, but yeah, it ended up being all factual. I mean, yeah. So anyway, the point is, she reached out to the sheriff, and I'm always appreciative for her for that. And then Sheriff Sadat hired me, but 2 things. One, y'all did have all this great equipment. So I'm coming from Petersburg, and you remember that. I mean, we had to share cars. Like the first duty belt I had was used. I mean, so I'm walking in there like a kid in a candy shop, man. Because Hopewell Sheriff's Office, they still do they had the stuff together, and all great equipment. And Jim Eckenroe was in charge at the time, and he told me he probably wanted to tell me a lot of this self-sustain. That's probably where my son got it from. But and it probably
and I was just I was wondering too, because I know that's all you did. You didn't run any other calls, or
we didn't.
You weren't on the street.
No, we didn't. But I think that's when that Dallas shooting had happened. Remember that? And so the chief at the time, and I'm not sure, was it it starts with a K, I think. Cohane. He asked if. The sheriff is like, he said, can we double officers up, deputies and officers?
Okay.
And so, I mean, the working relationship, and I assume it's the same, I guess, between you guys and the PD in a sense.
We've really, worked hard at building that relationship.
Good.
And I'm not speaking out of turn. I mean, they've told me, some of their command staff have told me personally that this is the best working relationship they ever had with the Hopewell Sheriff's Office.
That's it, and that's huge. I mean, because and for you, Sheriff, and then for the chief there, and for the personnel. I mean, if you recall, and this is no slight on Sheriff Crawford, but when I was in Petersburg, rather, it was a terrible working relationship. It wasn't because of it wasn't. It was the people at the bottom had no control. It was it was all this fighting at the top,
Yeah.
But that's great that you guys can work together, and that's what we did. So we did answer some calls of service if there was a need, and if we need help on 295 when I was there, Hopewell PD was going to come help. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. That's what you want.
Yeah. So in fact, in 2004, I'm trying to think what I was doing, because you were there, but So what do you remember who you were under? This is back in Petersburg. I mean, I'm not trying to bring up negative.
So my first,
were you on nights or something?
I was on nights, 300 Alpha. The land of misfit toys, I think, is they put all the rejects on that one shift. So
I was on a shift like that too, but I was wondering because I knew you were there, but we didn't. My son asked before you got here if we worked specifically together, but we really didn't have a chance.
No, I think you were in investigations when.
I think that something like that happened.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't
so
remember.
You were off the.
Well,
street.
yeah, in Petersburg, if you're in investigations, but then if you mess up or they don't like you, they throw you back on patrol again. So a lot of guys went from. And we had some great officers there that were put back in patrol, and they never should have been put back in patrol. I mean, not that anything's wrong with patrol, but they should have been able to retire from where they spent the majority of their careers. And I won't name the guy, but I mean, he did something, made somebody mad, and he retired as a patrol officer, which was okay, no problem, because he's we call it the slug. We were called the slugs. We called our squad the slug squad because all the rejects were put on that squad. Yeah. Anyway, we digress. But I was trying to figure out how we didn't necessarily work together. But I think that's probably what it is. But then we got to work together on 295.
Right.
I mean, and even then I was like, when I saw you and we came back in contact, I was like, man, this guy's pretty cool, man. I mean, you treated me decent then too. So even from that point, and I was like, and not that you wouldn't have, but I knew you were a good guy then. So.
Yeah, I mean, I try to treat everybody the same.
That's true.
It doesn't matter. Just quickly, a quick story. When I worked in Sussex, Sussex is a full service sheriff's office.
Hey, and, you worked there too? Mm-hmm. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. That's where I was at actually when I won the election. So I was working for Sussex County Sheriff's Office.
That's right. Okay, I remember that.
And they had a jail, and it was nothing for you come into the office, go up to the patrol room, 2:00 in the morning, going to write a report or something, and there's just a trustee, taking the trash, picking up trash and all that, just walking around, And it was a little jarring at first, but it's just how it was down there, the country. I mean, it's a little different. Things go a little different down there, but yeah, I mean, you're speaking to somebody that's obviously incarcerated for something. I never asked them what they were in there for, and didn't really care. But I still, sir,
that's right.
You still treat people with respect, because you should, nobody should be judged by one singular incident.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Now you string a few of those together, then maybe you can, your opinion can kind of hold a little more weight. But, I try to look at everybody as a multifaceted type of, creatures, and we're none of us are defined by one, specific moment in time or incident. So just treat everybody with respect, unless they, force you to do otherwise, and then.
Right.
But, it's just kind of the philosophy I have. So, yeah, that's a long way of saying that, I appreciate you saying that. But
no, that's true.
I really just try to do that. I guess I learned that from my mama.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's the best
teachers.
One of the best gifts to have, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, and that makes sense. Yeah. But all right, so that was in 2000. When did you? So Sheriff Sadat decided to retire. You decided to run for sheriff.
Yep.
That was in 2017. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And just a backtrack, you right out of high school, you got into law enforcement?
No, I went to college. I did that route. Got my bachelor's in criminal justice. Thinking, I'd be, hired on the first attempt. With a college degree. And
where'd you go to college?
I went to Chowan University. That's where I got my bachelor's. That's after I transferred from, my parents were not too excited about my prospect of going to college out of high school. Wasn't the best student, but, I think on my report cards I would get, does not apply himself quite frequently, or talks too much or something,
That's right.
But yeah. So they were like, do a junior college first,
Yeah.
So just do something small first, and if you do well at that, then we'll think about going to a 4-year, and that's what I did. I went to John Tyler and got my associates in police science there, and and really kind of found my own way scholastically in John Tyler on the dean's list and all that. I guess that little success that I had never had in high school, and the change of pace from not doing the same classes every single day to kind of having things broken up, I think suited me a lot better and all that. And
like you probably cared about it more than.
Oh yeah, I can't say it on the podcast what my dad told me, but he basically don't mess up.
Yeah, I got.
He's paying for it, so don't mess up.
No, that's right. No.
So, this ain't public school anymore. You're not getting this education for free.
A little more money involved.
That's right. So,
it is. But yeah, that's cool though. I'm sorry I didn't ask you that because I didn't know that. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. And I did the same thing, dude. I don't think it's unusual for boys and young men usually mature, later than say women. It's just what it is. It's biological.
Yeah. So you transfer from there into.
I did. Yeah. And I played football for them and got my bachelor's and graduated, and then it was only 3 years I think it took me to finally get hired by someone, which was Petersburg. Because back in those days, everybody was looking for certified officers. And of course, I'm like, well, how do you get certified if nobody will hire you?
No, you're right. It's funny how that's changed over time. Like when I got hired in '94 in Petersburg, I was like the only person there for any college. Everybody was prior military because they were like, that's not a big deal. They didn't care about college. They wanted people with some discipline and some proven success. Mm-hmm. And now you fast forward to 2004, but yeah, you're right. It's changed who they're trying to hire because now there's a whole other standard, and I think now they're just trying to get people. But
yeah,
it comes and goes. It's like a wave, but that's pretty cool. So Chowan is that in North Carolina or is it?
It is. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to ask. I didn't even know where it was. Now, you play football. What position did you play?
I was a tight end, which is a position I never played in high school.
I would have guessed that.
I learned a whole new position. Yeah, but
Any highlights?
They were not a passing to the tight end team, I would say. But I will say every one of my receptions either resulted in a touchdown or a first down. So I'm pretty proud about those stats.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's what we're yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's so. When the sheriff came in, we were like, "Hey, dude, we had to upgrade our mic stands because I was like, the other ones were like, I can lean into it because I'm like 5'6" or something, but we had to upgrade."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely nice.
Yeah, these
Lean
actually
back a little bit more.
we were trying to find the most decent stuff we could afford to get. But anyway, so we had to upgrade for your size of tight end.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah,
and you get the complimentary on the hill
look,
cut.
That was worth the price of getting over here. I do. That's nice. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. No, we appreciate it. So that is cool, man. And that's what I like about this format is we don't really plan this out, and that's cool, though. I like that. Yeah.
Because we talked to my brother-in-law, because he said after high school, he went to school, kind of flunked out of college, and then spent I think it was also 2 or 3 years kind of in limbo. Mm-hmm. And were you working just part-time jobs in that time?
Yeah.
Or were you just
I was actually doing 3 part-time jobs when I got hired by Petersburg. I was bouncing, go figure. Doing landscaping.
I believe it too.
Yeah, landscaping, and I was actually substitute teaching as well up at high school.
Cool,
so you get that too. I taught for 5 years, and I do HVAC now, but that's not an easy job, especially subbing. I think that's harder than
it was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Not the work itself, but trying to control. Not being able to just jerk a kid up and but no, I enjoyed it.
Well, the kids, they see a substitute and they're like, "Whoa, it's a free day."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Eric taught 5 years in Prince George, and then actually this summer you switched over to HVAC.
Yeah, made the switch. Just underpaid and just overworked. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try something else. And I actually had a cool story today. Because big part of teaching is you kind of make a difference every day. You kind of see it right there and then. But I think I'm not comparing HVAC to police work, but usually when you see a customer, they're unhappy. Mm-hmm. They've been in the heat for 3 or 4 days, and depending on the situation, this lady, her husband was in hospice at home. I think he had about a week to live, I think she was saying. And she welcomed us with a smile. And of all the customers we've had in the summer, it's like she was one of the most, I would say happy-go-lucky, just that we were there and responded to her. Right. And then she started telling us her situation, and it was like, lady, how are you even talking to us right now? Mm-hmm. And the part didn't come in, so we came back and gave her window units today. I mean, she was giving us hugs, and we were all sitting there choked up crying. And it's like, that's what any job where you're helping people, I mean, that's really what it's all about. And
absolutely.
You see somebody at their worst, and she's just happy for us to be there for her and her husband. And yeah, that was one of those moments I was like, yeah, I'm still making a difference. And
I think so.
And you know, I think she may have been a little upset at the office ladies, and they're like, you know, just be careful. And this lady seemed a little upset. When you get there, and we were nice to her, and we walked in, and we figured out what was really happening. That's like what you said, is treat everybody with respect, and we got her some AC, which was good. But you know, you just never know what someone's going through.
Particularly if her husband on hospice,
Yeah. Well, I found, I mean, 99% of the time, you know, people just want to be heard. You know, I mean, they feel like nobody listens to them. And, you know, in that situation, she's probably calling and, you know, and I understand everybody's busy and all that, but, you know, they're just trying to find out what the problem is and get off the phone and moving on to the next one. The phones are constantly ringing, so I can understand that. But she was, you know, understandably upset and, you know, felt like her situation was very important and it was to her. And
it's probably hard to bring up on the phone to somebody you don't know.
Right, yeah. But yeah, I mean, just listening I found to be just tremendous as far as getting cooperation and all that, you know. I mean, 99% of the time, that's all they want is to be heard.
Yeah.
So
you just treat them like any other person.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Yeah. Damn. Yeah. All right. So we jump back to college. So all right. So you decide when the sheriff decides to retire, you run. And,
well, actually, I mean, he actually was the one that approached me about running. You know, he approached me about 2 months or so before he announced that he was going to retire, and you know, kind of tipped me off, and you know, to say that, look, you know, I'm thinking about retiring, and you know, if I do, you know, if he, this is him speaking. He said, if I do retire, you know, would you be interested in running? And I told him, I said, well, I mean, I told you before that. I wouldn't have any interest in running, but if you know you ever decide to retire, you know, then I'd take a look at it at that point. So you know, basically from that conversation, you know, he just told me just to keep that in mind, and he'd let me know when he made a decision. And like I said, I you know, talked it over with some people, and about 2 months later, he came to me and asked me if I was ready, and I said, yeah, I'm ready, and that's kind of how that happened.
That's good.
Yeah. And you were in Sussex at that time?
No, I was Hopewell Sheriff's Office.
Oh, you were in Hopewell?
Yeah, he was employed there, so when the sheriff left, he ran.
I got you.
But he had a competitor that was somebody that also worked for the sheriff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was kind of a curveball that nobody saw coming. The captain at the time, you know, threw his name in the hat and decided he was going to run, which at that time, the sheriff, you know, Luther Sodat, kind of, you know, threw his hands up. Was like, well, since both of y'all are running, you know, I'm gonna stay out of it instead of coming out and endorsing me. So it kind of, you know, put me a little at a disadvantage,
right.
You know, being not that high on the totem pole at that time,
right?
To have a, you know, the number 2 guy, you know, deciding to run as well. So
yeah, man, it was tough.
Yeah, it was a little tough situation.
And what were you? I guess what was your rank when you ran?
Corporal.
Corporal. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he was a corporal. He ran, and then not the outcome you wanted.
No, but learned a lot of lessons.
Right.
And you know, we took that lesson into the second go round 4 years later, and you know, corrected what we felt like needed to be corrected, and it worked out in our favor.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, like I said, man.
And it probably worked out for the best too. You probably learned some stuff along the way, and
yeah. I mean, I think people learn more from defeats and failures than they do from successes. You know.
Yeah, and there, not to go into it, there was some controversy in that election, but I think it's kind of like with you with the, like you said, out of high school, and it's not unusual. I mean, I had the same path. I mean, I had to go to a junior college too, but you didn't give up, you didn't quit. So 4 years later, you ran again, and now you're sitting here as a sheriff.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty badass.
Yeah, in your hometown.
Yeah. We're very grateful for this opportunity, and we're just trying to work hard. I always say the easy part was to win the election. Now the hard part is to stay there.
Yeah.
And so I told everybody at the office on day one that I'm already running for my next campaign because
that's right.
It's 24/7. You got to stay on it, and people need to see what you're doing and see you. Period. To know that you're present and you're taking it seriously. So that's what we've tried to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your command staff. So the sheriff's elected official. They run every 4 years, and really, in a lot of ways, the most powerful law enforcement official in the city, right?
Yeah. I mean, by rank, I outrank the police chief.
That's right.
Because I'm elected. So, it's
a lot of people don't know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I just know that from you telling me. But
yeah,
in the broad scheme, what do you kind of oversee on your day to day?
So, I very jokingly like to remind everybody that every day since January the 2nd, I've been working for free. By law, I'm only required to work 1 day a year. Literally, my only job is to get reelected.
Wow.
That being said.
Yeah, because you're not doing
do a lot
that.
more than that.
Yeah. That is a perfect example of just because you can don't mean you should.
Yeah.
So I put in 13-hour Saturdays. I mean, I try to work as much as I can,
right.
And it's not that foreign a sight to see me pulling up on a call for service. I mean, I've made one felony arrest, as sheriff already, and
that's a bad day right there.
It's I never want to lose those skills. It doesn't matter what my role is because you never know what's going to happen. So I want to keep my skills sharp. I'm actually going to SWAT school in a couple weeks. Me and my chief deputy are both doing it. And, nothing like being in your mid 40s to 50 years old, deciding, hey, I don't know if it's a midlife crisis or what, but we're still ready to knock down doors, and
I'm ready to join you. Shit, I'm retired. I'll come out of retirement for that.
I'm telling you, it's we've got a lot of things going. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Where's that going to be? I know you did yours, and
well, you doing yours through Crater with with Charlie Winslow. He knows what he's talking about. He's I think he retired from Portsmouth. He was their commander. But I went to this 2-week school in Norfolk. And Patterson,
that's what I was thinking.
Anthony Patterson, and we thought it was like a regular school.
No,
it was their 2-week tryout for their team. They didn't tell us that, but we were allowed to come and participate. But that was pure hell to do. But when you say that, like my blood pressure shoots up. I'm ready to assume the shield, man, and get to work. But anyway, so that's cool. But you lead by example. So when you said your deputy sheriff, right? What's it called?
Chief deputy.
Chief deputy. So that's who's that?
Mark Lilly.
Yeah, Mark Lilly.
Yeah.
And then his brother is also
Mike.
there.
Yep.
Mike Lilly. All started in Petersburg.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then
And all left.
Your training guy also started in Petersburg.
Will Mayer.
Yeah. So not only I'm saying this is I know all these guys, and I knew when you got elected, I was like, man, I'm nobody to give any advice about being the sheriff, but I was like, just surround yourself with the right people, and you did. So, you are not only did you surround yourself with people that you knew and trusted. These guys are, they're top notch.
Yeah. Have the experience.
They have the experience, hard workers. These guys are like, if you had to go to battle, you couldn't have a more. If you act crazy in Hopewell and the sheriff's department or the courtroom, rather, it ain't gonna be a good day for you. I'm just giving that warning to the general public. That ain't the courtroom to play in.
Yeah. We've got some rather large fellas.
Yeah. So
arm wrestling champions, and yeah,
it's just cool, man. It's like a dream come true. So I imagine going to work would be like, almost a dream come true for you in a way. Makes it so much nicer. And you knew from experience from coming from an agency that had substandard leaders, how to lead people, how you didn't want to treat your own people. So.
Well, I mean, that's just it. You know, they don't really, in the new sheriff school, they didn't really tell you, how to do the job. They just tell you what kind to expect and, some hiring practice, legal stuff and that sort of thing. But, 2.5 days later, they're all right, see you,
and you'll
be a sheriff.
2.5 days?
2.5 days, that's all it was. And so, yeah, I mean, really, when I won the election, I was literally had no rank. I was just a deputy in, Sussex County. So being basically from the bottom going straight to the top, I was like, oh, wow, this is has the potential to go really bad, if I don't get my stuff together. So, and really my leadership style is just basically, learn from other supervisors that I've had, and I've taken things that I liked that they did, and I avoid things that I hated, and ultimately, that formula seems to be working because I'm happy to say I'm at full staff and have been for the entirety of my time in office. And we're getting applications coming in, even though we're telling them, look, we don't have any positions. They're like, just hold it, just in case. We've got basically a waiting list to come work for Hopewell Sheriff's Office.
Words out, man.
That's great.
Yeah, it's
what's the number in the?
We're not a big agency, obviously. We're not the primary law enforcement in Hopewell, but we've got a total of 16 or 13 full-time, but a total of 30 employees altogether, including me, so I make the 30.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And like I say, I'm the only non-essential employee we have, so, everybody else there does a great job, and, they keep that place running, and, I just get to be a politician, so.
Yeah, but, you're out there, there's a difference. So you're a politician, but you're also out there leading by example. Like you said, you made a felony arrest. I was like, hello.
Yeah,
that's why I said that'd be a bad day for that guy.
You're like,
I know him since we were teenagers. That made it a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. That's the other thing. So let's see. You grew up there. How much has Hopewell changed? I lived in Hopewell for almost. In fact, your first year when you were born, we lived there for a year, 224 South 17th Avenue, and we think we lived there 8 or 9 years. But I noticed a difference. And I know you're not putting the city down or anything, but there is a difference in talking to some of the officers. There, a lot more drugs are prevalent in some, only in certain areas and stuff. Have you noticed any of that, or?
It's pretty much that's really always been the case. The only difference now is social media.
Right. Okay.
That plays a big part in it. If we didn't have social media in the 80s and 90s. So a lot of the stuff was still going on. It just, didn't go viral.
And you see more of it, yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about that with Dr. Greenberg. He's like, one 20-second clip can be seen 20,000 times, and it makes it that much more prevalent and sticks in your head.
In the media, if it bleeds, it leads, and they like to push that stuff, and I'm grateful for guys like Wayne Koval, who
he's police friendly.
Yeah, he's very police friendly, and he reached out to me, during the height of all the shootings and all, and I wanted to do a positive story, and I was happy to take part in that, and kind of show them the things that we were doing as far as the sheriff's office to try to ease people's minds that, look, it's not as bad as you think it is. Yes, a lot of attention is being brought to Hopewell right now, but there's some things going on that we can't really talk about, but there's a lot of good going on behind the scenes, and
right.
And that's being seen now with the lack of major events here, quite a little stretch.
Yeah, that's true.
That helps out.
Yeah, because you guys, and it's crime. You can't predict where crime's going to happen, and I think social media certainly plays a role in it. At least people know where everybody is at any given time now, and they can organize faster. Or like I said, when you said I was in investigations, I did a lot of stuff there, but even though there wasn't social media or even the height of like the cell phones were just like regular phones, they're not like a little mini computer, people still would get information, but it's just not as fast,
Yeah.
And the negativity that you see now is just, it's just the sign of the times. But hopefully, it makes a turnaround. So I know you plan on running again.
Oh yeah. Plan on running several times.
That's right. You got quite a long time. You're building this team of great deputies, building this great agency. But what is something that if here's a free chance or to put a word out to the people, potential voters? Any message you'd like to send out?
Just basically, understand that we are, we're working extremely hard and to try to bring what I believe is one of the most basic human rights is safety and security.
Yeah, that's right.
Everyone should feel safe where they live, and it's why I never really understood why there used to be beef between sheriff's offices and police departments. And I think the first person in my office when I took over at the time was Chief Stark.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, look, I don't know, what's been going on the last 4 years. I wasn't here, but I don't know the relationship, how, good or bad. I said, I wasn't privy to those conversations. I said, the only thing I can think of is its egos. Yeah. And, I assured him, and I've since assured, Chief Taylor and Donnie Reed when he was the interim chief and kind of holding it down as the major. I don't have an ego. We're here to help any way we can. And, and that's what we've tried to do, and it's being noticed, and I'm thankful for that. I haven't, at least personally heard anything bad, being said. So, I guess we're doing okay.
Yeah, I think that's great. There is, like I said, man, there's nothing to me any better of a story than this. Really, I'm just being from the heart. I told you that when we were messaging back and forth, and I appreciate you coming on, but. The message for us here is on this particular show is just to give people opportunities to tell a story, and also in your case, since you're an elected official, get the word out of what you're trying to do for the community and what you are doing for the community. So, I don't think anything more important than that. I think when you said that, people just want to be heard, that is, you got to be careful as law enforcement. You got to think about your own safety and the safety of others, but at the right time and place, people do just want to be heard.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it's a big thing.
Even like I remember fighting, people in Petersburg and getting them under arrest, and then so you're literally fighting somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You probably brings back some memories for you too, and then you're riding because we had to process everybody. We had to arrest them, fingerprint them, photograph them, and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. So you had a little more time together. And in that de-escalation time when it was over, I'd ask these guys, what were you thinking? And they're like, hey, I wasn't thinking. Mm-hmm. This wasn't personal against you. This is the situation that was going on. And, unfortunately, we couldn't have come to that situation. We couldn't have come to the verbalization of it at the time because, it wasn't the right time. But later we were able to do that. So they just really wanted to be heard. Yeah,
that's what it's all about. Now, something that stuck in my head, you said you had 2.5 days of training, I guess you call it.
New sheriff school.
Mm-hmm. Now, is there anyone now you reach out to and kind of reach out for help, or is it? Yeah,
you mentioned Sheriff Crawford. Vanessa's, she's been great. She's always there to help. Of course, I worked for Chief Giles in Sussex, and another great guy. I still have some of the retired sheriffs. One that hired me, and then the one after him that I can reach out to if I need anything. Sheriff Todd Wilson out in Colonial Heights, and Sheriff Leonard in Chesterfield. A lot of these guys, I've gotten to know, and the thing about sheriffs, there's 123 sheriffs in Virginia.
Okay.
And we're kind of a small fraternity.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter, if you're the longest tenured sheriff or the brand new, just won an election. Every one of them is there to help each other if you need it.
That's cool. Man, that is cool. I didn't think about that.
And you guys have a chance to talk and
sure. Yeah, we have 2 conferences a year, and then there's a national conference. I was, blessed to be able to attend the 2 so far that I've had a chance to attend, and also getting to meet sheriffs from all over the country. But like I said, the conferences are great to get to know a lot of the ones that you don't see on a daily basis or talk to. And then, of course, you have the little group that you came in with.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
it's
You
almost
got
like
those.
when you get in the academy. You know,
Yeah.
your academy buddies tend to be lifelong friends.
Lifelong friends, that's right.
You know, those of us that won our elections that year will be, you know, forever bonded. You
Yeah.
know, because of that. So, you know, I have, you know, a couple guys over in the Shenandoah Valley that I talk to on a regular basis. You know,
Like I said, y'all have like little group chats and stuff.
yeah. I mean, we have group chats. We've got emails. I mean, there's
That's cool. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of, I mean, when I was teaching, it's kind of for any job like that where you oversee something, and you know, I think it's the same for principals, or if you're fire chief, police chief, is, you know, you have this role and you oversee a bunch of people and you see them every day, but you don't really share that with anybody on a daily basis because like you are the guy in Hopewell, and you don't really have someone next door to you. You can go, hey, you know, you guys are sharing the same experiences day to day. So I think it's cool that you guys can meet up, and I'm sure the conferences are special because you actually get to relate with people who are doing the same work that you do every day.
Yeah, no, it is. It's great. You know, the networking is great because, like I said, you never know when a situation will come up, and you know, somebody in, you know, Northern Virginia, you know, you can reach out to for certain things, and somebody out in the western part of the state, you know, I mean, we've got a directory where I can call any one of them, you know, whether I know them or not. I mean, but they'll answer the phone. I mean, you know, it's a sheriff answering for another sheriff, and you know, they're always willing to do that and help wherever they can. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
So is there anything outside of police world that you enjoy doing on free time, or?
I mean, I like working out. You know, trying to keep my body as strong as I can possibly keep it. You know, if I could walk away from the cheesecake, I'd be doing a lot better.
Yeah.
But
That's my problem.
you know,
Yeah, the
it's,
sweets are the hardest.
yeah. I mean, you can't outwork out a bad diet, and so they say, and I'm living proof of that. So,
Yeah, I'm
but
the same, yeah.
well, yeah, just like I said, I'm trying to stay as able-bodied as I can because I do try to lead by example, as you said earlier,
that's right.
and
Ain't no
you know, I
doubt.
don't expect my deputies to do anything that I'm not willing to do myself.
Yeah, because I think we've talked about that before. So you walk in. No, I'm not putting anybody down, but you walk into the doctor's office and someone who's unhealthy and, you know, maybe out of shape is trying to tell you how to get into shape and how to do something. And you're like,
Yeah, the doctor's out of shape trying to tell you to be in shape, but you know, it's kind of contradictory, you know.
Yeah,
So if
I
you-
mean, you get a lot of that. You
Yeah.
get a lot of that. But
so you
yeah.
keeping yourself in shape and
Yeah. I'm
gives those
trying.
guys something to look
you know,
forward
whatever
to.
I am is a shape, I guess, in
No.
some form or another. But you
No,
know,
well, I mean,
but we're always a work in progress.
it says a lot though, you know, for you to keep doing it and be in shape. So later, you know, not now, I'm saying later on, you have a deputy that he's from New York State, right? From New York City, I believe. And I guess I can say his name, Nassar, but he was my recruit. And my last class in 99th BLE. And, you know, he has a story, and basically, you know, I don't know what nationality he is. He's Middle Eastern, I know that. But anyhow, after 9/11, he was in New York, and
Wow.
you know, he was the blunt of, because he had nothing to do with 9/11, of course. I'm not, and you know, there's only a small handful of people, but he, you know, during that time, he was assaulted and accused of being part of it just by his nationality.
right.
But he always wanted to be a law enforcement officer. So and even law enforcement didn't really back him up there because, you know, you can imagine, not that they should have, but of course everybody's, you know, so emotional during that time frame.
Yeah.
But anyway, he moves to this area, and the sheriff, you end up hiring him. I mean, he's so emotional about that. At least he was when he came to the academy. I've never seen anybody go through so much negativity and then still have, you know, faith in the system. And you gave him that chance. I think, you know, that was huge, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can't take credit for hiring him. He was actually there when I got there, but
You sent him to the law enforcement.
I sent him to the academy, and that was
Right.
you know, I promised him, you know, that I'd send him if I won the election, and
So there. I didn't mean to interrupt you, sir,
Yeah.
but there's a difference. So, you know, you can go to the jail or academy, and this, I'm not saying there's any one's better than the other, but you just have more authority. So you send him to the basic law enforcement where he has all arrest powers and all that, and that's what he you know, he was so proud of himself for that. And you know, I was thinking about this. I was like, you know, you're like the person that, you know, gives second chances, but it wasn't really a second chance; it was the first chance.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. And a lot of your staff, and you're humble about it, but you've given to some guys that were, you know, that maybe had lost their way for a little bit of time, like we all do. I've definitely lost my way before, and now they're working for you, and they're dedicated to the city and dedicated to you. So, says a lot about you.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. I don't judge people by singularity, moments in time, and I do believe people have that potential to grow and mature and all that, and I mean I include myself in that. I've lost my way a few times. I haven't lived a perfect life and done everything right. So, like I said, you learn more from the mistakes and that sort of thing than you do from any successes. So,
yeah,
that's awesome. So, and last thing, I guess we don't hold you up too long is. You got engaged this year, it looked like. I mean, I only know that through social media, so I asked you if I could ask you off air, but...
Sure, yeah. No, it was a long time coming. Like I tell her, I've got a very extensive background check process, and it took 12 years to go ahead and move into the next phase in the interview process.
Well, that's all right.
So,
I mean, first of all, your fiance, she owns her own business, or she's a business.
She's a hairstylist. I mean, she's technically a subcontractor. She rents a booth, in a hair salon. I think that's how that works. But I don't know if that's lucrative or not. She didn't give me her money, so I don't know what she makes. But
yeah, but I mean, you've been together for a long time, and I just want to say congratulations on that. Yeah,
it's awesome.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it took me 9 years to engage. So
yeah,
you got to test the waters. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you
got to make sure everything's lining up.
I got, I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure everything. I must comb through, every little hair and detail. And
no, I'm kidding. Honestly, I'm just lucky she stayed with me for 9 years.
That's what I'm sitting here now. When the sheriff walked in, he introduced him to my wife, and he said, "You deserve a medal for sticking with this guy."
Yeah.
So I
think I know you better than she does.
Yeah, I think you do too, in some respects. Yeah. But anyway, those stories will remain hidden in the chest forever,
for another day.
But what I'm getting around to is, so my son's fiance, now his wife, she's a nurse now. She's stunning. I was like, I remember at their wedding, I'm like, okay. Because I got to do a little speech, I was like, "Hey, dude," and I was like, "How did this happen?" Because she's a wonderful person. Now I've only seen pictures of your fiance, but she's a beautiful lady, and I'm looking at you, and I know you at some level, but and then I was like, "Man, she must have really cared about you to hang out there for them 12 years."
Yeah, she's a very lucky girl.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, she seems like a great person.
She is. Yeah, she's like I said, she's put up with me for that long, and and she's been with me in some very, very
trying times,
low and trying times, and so I felt nothing else. She's definitely earned that rock that she's got on her hand right now.
Did y'all? I mean, I'm not trying to get. I don't even know from social media, but y'all. Didn't y'all you went to the? Where'd y'all go? Like, if you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, we went on a cruise. Neither one of us had been on a cruise before,
wow, okay.
and so we took a cruise, and
how'd you like it?
Oh, I loved it. She not so much. She
Oh, really?
she didn't really do the motion sickness thing
dang.
too well, and
that'll get you.
I wasn't affected, thankfully. I never took anything or no patches or anything, but
wow.
I was fine. But yeah, no, she had a rough time of it. But
yeah, that makes it no fun.
Did y'all hit the Caribbean?
Yeah, we stopped at Half Moon Cay, which is Carnival's Island in the Bahamas, and then the next stop was Turks and Caicos.
Yeah, I knew it. That's what I was getting around to.
We went there last summer or 2 summers ago.
Yeah, I thought. So I was going to say we went to Turks and Caicos. What did you think about that?
We enjoyed it. That other than the amount of drugs that you were able to purchase right there on the beach from some of the locals.
Yeah,
we ended up taking a tour of the island, and that was fun. It's weird because if you go to Turks and Caicos and actually visit the island, literally wild donkeys just roaming around.
Yeah, it's wild.
So we got to feed some donkeys, and and that was pretty fun. And then our last stop was Dominican Republic, which was nice as well. We spent the day at a resort. Kind of took advantage of that resort for the day, and
nice.
be somewhere I'd like to maybe go back to and actually just stay at the resort. But it was it was very nice.
Yeah. I thought you'd gone to Turks. I didn't.
So
know.
it was a 5-day cruise.
It was 8 actually. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
8 day.
Yeah.
I always wondered because one of my buddies said 7 days was too long and 5 days was good, but I've heard different from everybody.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on whether you like the water and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was fine.
But if you get sick, it'd be tough. Yeah,
She had more of a rough time with it than I did, but I enjoyed it. I'd like to go back. You know. Now 8 days, that is it's a little long. So maybe a shorter one would be fine. But like I said, I mean, we didn't really know one way or another when we booked it. We had some other friends going, and they were already booked for this cruise, so we were kind of stuck with what they chose. And like I said, they're all cruise veterans, and we were the newbies. But it was like I said, all in all, it was fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so if you get a chance, I mean, we stayed at
it was the Beaches
Resort. in Turks. So it is like that in a lot of these they're not third world countries, but I mean they're outside the resorts, it's almost it's night and day. But we did enjoy it. It's beautiful. If you get a chance if you wanted to go back, I think Beaches is a pretty nice resort. Man.
Okay,
but when you're from back and forth from the airport, it is like a whole nother world. You're like, what in the world, man?
And they're driving the left side of the road because it's a British colony.
A British colony, yeah. But yeah, we were on the beach, and the guy didn't come with me. I guess I still look like a cop because I'm not, but retired. But he asked my sister-in-law if she wanted some weed right here. Yeah. I was like, "You want some weed, man?"
See, that reminds me of Cancun.
Really?
Oh yeah,
same thing.
Same thing. We were on the beach in Cancun. That's the first time I've ever been out of the country.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, we took that vacation right after the 2017 election. I was hoping that was going to be a celebration, but it was a good rest and relaxation to go lick my wounds and all. But yeah, we were on the beach one day, and this gentleman walked up to me and asked me if I wanted, weed, cocaine. I said,
dang.
Policia. He said, oh, good thing I'm in Mexico. I said,
good thing.
10-4. That would be terrifying. No telling what you'd get down there, but who knows?
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, it was nice. The people were real nice and all that. But it was just funny because it was wide open. I'm like, wow, this is a little different than Virginia Beach. I'm guessing. So.
Different world, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, nowadays you can almost do it now. Buy it in Virginia Beach, I guess. You can gift it to somebody. So anyway, I'm getting on.
Is there? Yeah, I guess there is still a limit in Virginia, right? About growing it.
Growing it, you can have up to 4 plants.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, and I think you can have
up to an ounce, I believe.
Yeah, up to an ounce.
Consider that personal use.
On personal use. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was in a house today. They did way more than that.
Yeah.
They had like the indoor tents with the lights and stuff.
What?
I'm not gonna give it.
Yeah, hell no. Don't get involved in that stuff. Great God.
But it was 3 separate tents, and
at least they had it covered. When I was campaigning, I walked up on some front porches, and I'm like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. If you can remember, vote for me.
If you can remember, vote for me. Well, it's legal now, so hey.
Yeah. Well, not that many plants, but yeah. I mean,
it was a lot. Yeah, I mean, it was this times this size of this table. I was like, good Lord. I think I got secondhand just walking in there, but
then we had the chief of Chesterfield calling us.
I'm not going to say where I was, so what county I was in.
That's right. You may not have been in Chesterfield.
Yeah, maybe I was, maybe I wasn't.
I
wasn't in Hopewell though, so I can assure you of that.
The sheriff can be rest assured it's not under his purview, right?
It is, it's hard to get arrested by me. I mean,
you have to try.
You got to really try hard because the felony arrest I made, he actually walked into my office to get arrested. So that's
how that
that's kind of like walking the fly going into the Venus flytrap. So
he walked in it to be arrested.
Well, he's a convicted felon, and he was coming to pick up his ammunition in his book bag that he left unattended. Yeah.
Well, that'll do it.
That will do it for you.
I said, well, it's funny you mentioned that. So
yeah, before we sign off, the civilian you have working there, I know you probably have some, but she works up at the front. And we'll give her any props. I don't know. Can't think of her name though.
Jessica.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I didn't know if I just know she was there when I was there for that couple of years, and at the SARS graduation, I saw her there with you guys. Mm-hmm. She's been a big help.
Oh, absolutely. I tell her all the time. I tell her parents all the time. I mean, she's the MVP of the office. I mean,
that's right. That's kind of like Sam at the academy, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's why we gave her a pretty substantial raise when we got there, when I saw all the stuff that she does.
Right. I know she appreciates that.
Yeah, we definitely wanted to show that gratitude, and kind of bump her up because, before I got there, I didn't really know what she did. I didn't know what a lot of people did. I was always out of the office on 295 and
working. Yeah.
So when you see somebody and they seem like they're always just chit chatting and not really working, you're like, man, I don't know what's going on down here. But really, in fact, I mean, she's so good at it. She does it so quick.
Right.
I mean, you have to really work hard to try to keep her busy because she just gets her work done so fast.
That's good.
And so I'm like, all right, well, that's
Here's more
you
to
deserve some more walking around money for this. So
That's good. That's what I'm talking about, man. I'm glad that I asked you that because I wanted to get them props out for her too. So
That's cool. It just seems like it's all very small world.
Yeah,
in the law enforcement.
It is,
especially in this area.
We definitely find a lot of familiar faces in this profession, and sometimes the uniform changes, but like I said, 9 out of 10 times the officer doesn't.
Yeah,
and so it's good to catch up with some guys and remain in touch and all that. And like I said, they're another resource as well that you can always tap into. I mean, nobody knows everything, so
right. It's good to have a bunch of people you can relate to and ask questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we always ask this question. This is a random question. If you were in the chair, your last day, they gave you your last meal.
Yeah.
My last meal.
What would your last meal be?
You may have to come up with a different question, but
I like this question.
Well,
it tells a lot about a person.
We're going to definitely have to go with a nice. What is that? Kobe beef steak.
Oh yeah,
Some form of potato.
Mm-hmm.
I would think. And then
that's a tight
we ain't gonna worry
meal.
about a salad on this one because I mean, at that point, there's no use in trying to be healthy.
yeah,
So go on, give me a big old slice of cheesecake.
that's it.
There you go.
So he normally asks this, but how is it's a steak, right? Is that what it is?
What, the Kobe?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
top notch.
top notch. Yeah.
How do you have it cooked?
I've never had it. I mean,
Yeah, but I mean, how do you have your steak normally cooked? Rare, medium
rare. Yeah,
I
medium
told you,
rare.
man.
Yeah.
See, he's like a well done.
I'm like a medium. I don't know what the hell I
Like
am.
you brought up Nassar, he's deathly afraid of dogs. And him and another deputy, they called me one day. They were going to Texas Roadhouse and wanted to know if I want to go over there and meet them. And unfortunately, I had something else going on, so I couldn't do it. But I told him, I said, all right, but look, you're going to have to get, because he likes well-done steak. I said,
Okay.
I said, that ain't gonna fly, man. You're gonna have to eat, get you a medium well, something.
Yeah.
Or a medium,
Something, yeah.
But
Some color in it.
and he was like, no, I need my steak cooked. And I'm like, man, I mean, it's like you really are missing out. I mean, it's almost like eating,
Yeah.
you might as well eat your belt, a leather strap or something.
Damn.
Like why are you doing that to yourself?
Yeah,
I said, well, I'll tell you what, man, you got to step out of your comfort zone. I said, and if you don't at least give me medium well, or what was it? What's the next down from well? Is it medium?
Medium,
well?
medium.
Medium well.
Yeah.
At least do that for me, or you're going to have to walk my dog.
What do you do?
Oh, he ate the steak. Yeah. My dog's a 130-pound Connie Corso, so yeah.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
He ate the steak.
She doesn't have to be mooing, but you need some
Yeah,
red
no,
in
you
there.
gotta have, I mean, come on.
I've gotten a little bit better, so.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, medium rare. I've done rare, and it's a little chewy, and I don't really like that.
Yeah.
But the medium rare, I think, is right on time. Oh yeah.
it melts in your mouth. It depends on where you get it, but yeah, that's the way to go.
Well, hey, I'll try. Since the sheriff said I'm going to do it.
Like you said, if you're comfortable, you're wrong.
Yeah, that's our motto.
And then one last thing in the spotlight. I know you like to work out, and you're in the leadership role. To anybody in law enforcement, outside of law enforcement, what's your word of advice for motivation? If just getting up in the morning,
Getting it in.
yeah.
As far as working out,
It could be working out. It could be just getting up, going to work. I mean,
well, again, it goes back to lead by example. And I really truly feel like I am more of a motivator than anything else in that office because I really have to ask a lot of the deputies because we're such a small office. And it's part of the reason why I brought in the diverse people that I brought in. And, I'm looking for to be creative in certain ways, and it's definitely helped strengthen my problem solving skills.
Right.
We mentioned Mike Lilly earlier. I mean, he retired as a fire captain and EMT. We've had several, emergency situations, medical situations in the courthouse that he was able to stabilize the people and have them ready to go when the emergency crew got there, and just little things like that. But it's it's on me to motivate, and I just really have found that do as I say but not as I do doesn't really work.
Right.
So I just come to work and actually work and show them that, and I think that has been well received with the staff, and like I said, they're I tell them all the time. I mean, they're amazing. They make me look really good, and that's hard to do, but yeah. So I mean, like I said, I'd put my staff up against any staff in the state. They really do a great job, and again, they make me look really good.
That's awesome.
I think that's a perfect way to end it, man. Yeah, you're modest, man, but I think you're doing a great job. So
yeah,
I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate it. And like I said, it's it's all about doing what you say you're going to do. If all politicians would do that, I think this country would be in a lot better shape.
You ain't lying.
But yeah, I mean, I told everybody what I was going to do when I was running, and that's all I'm doing now is just what I told everybody I was going to do. So I mean, it really should not be any surprises.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate that. Yeah, and make sure you get the word out to check you out on the podcast, man.
Oh yeah. Well, you send me a copy and we'll get it posted.
Yeah, we have a couple ahead of you, and I'll give you the date and stuff for it. And but yeah, we'll have the links ready to go. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, so all that will be live, and it'll be on a Monday. So
all right.
We'll let you know when that goes out. And
all right, now if you don't get as many viewers as you normally get, I tried to tell him that I'm more a radio type of guy than an on camera. I'm better behind the camera than I am in front of it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man, because the podcast. Well, I guess on Spotify is all. Well, you can watch it too.
Well, no, on Apple and Spotify, radio. It's just radio. Yeah.
Yeah. So
you'll just be seen on YouTube.
All right.
So if you just want to share those links, you can.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't want to scare anybody. I got a face for radio. I don't. I'm trying to help you build this program. I mean, we're trying to get this podcast.
That's it, man. Yeah. Well, we want you to get reelected for many. Well,
then definitely don't show it. I mean,
No,
we really appreciate you being on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate y'all having me. This was a lot of fun.
Man. Yeah, it was. Man.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Anything else?
Like I said, he's got to do his little spill, and this is it.
All right.
Yeah, just follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, also Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And we'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you,
the
Sheriff.
Hill.
All right.
Thank
peace,
you,
brother. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you for listening to On the Hill. Like, subscribe, and follow us wherever you listen to your podcasts. See ya.